Let us for a few moments try to remember the Paramatman dwelling in our heart. Let us pray to Him to give peace and joy. Let us pray for the welfare of the whole humanity. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, who taught the easy method of going towards God, who integrated jnana, bhakti, karma and dhyana. All these various paths lead to same God in the center. Sri Ramakrishna has given instructions so that we may live a life of practical spiritual life amidst our various worldly activities. Sri Ramakrishna has shown the technique of living in this world, at the same time not become tainted with worldliness. That's very important. If we become tainted with worldliness, then we are in great danger. Living in the world is perfectly all right, but don't get tainted in the worldliness. That we have to learn at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. He is always ready to help us. He is always ready to rescue us. He is ever loving, showing kindness to every one of us. We have to find out why we are in trouble, why we are in darkness, why we are in ignorance, why we are pulled down by these worldly allurements. As long as we are seeing a snake at a distance in the darkness, we are bound to be afraid of. The very name of the snake causes fear in us. But if you take a torch, investigate, find out whether it is really a snake or something else. When you bring the light, you will find out it is not snake at all, it is simply a rope lying on the road. So as long as you are holding on to the unreal as real, the fear will be always there. As long as you hold on to this world, fear will be always there. You can never get peace as long as you keep yourself engaged in the world, forgetting the divine Paramatman underlying the whole universe. So, we should pray to God to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Then only we arrive at real peace. Real peace is always everlasting. So, Sri Ramakrishna has given wonderful solutions to our problems in life. We suffer because of our own faults. Because of our own ignorance, we are suffering. We are not to suffer at all. We are born in this world not to suffer, but to achieve something. We are born here in this world to achieve something. Something that is eternal, that is permanent, that is divine. To achieve that divinity, we have to be born in this world. The other day I was explaining in a class, our planet where we are living now is called Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra. It is here we are able to engage ourselves in action. Karma Kshetra, Kuru means do. In Sanskrit, Kuru means do. Kurukshetra means the field of doing the things. I will do. Doing for what? Doing things for what? So that we may achieve perfection. Dharma Kshetra. So this planet of ours, this Prithvi, is so blessed, and we are so fortunate to be born in this Prithvi because it is only here we have given the opportunity to realize our true divine nature that is inherent in us. We have forgotten that, so we are suffering. So, Sri Ramakrishna tells us the ways of doing things. Even to engage ourselves in spiritual activities, there is a way, there is a definiteness. Not in a haphazard way. Definite ways are there. Definite results are obtained if we follow those prescriptions correctly. So Shraddha is very much needed when we take up this higher life. Very important. So I was talking in the last class about the anatomy of attachment, how attachment is the root of all suffering. What is samsara? It is nothing but oneself deeply attaching towards the things of the world. That's called samsara. Where there is attachment, there is samsara. You can't get out of it. That is called attachment. You know it is causing a lot of restlessness, yet you cannot get out of it. So, we must impress upon our mind that attachment is the root of all misery and bondage. It is invisible, but we are all bound. So, all the trouble is due to love being centered on specific objects. Suppose when you dive into a river, you don't feel any weight, although there are tons of water overhead. But one feels so burdened when one places a pot of water on one's head. Even the spine may give way. So, even the least attachment for anything gives the mind a loophole to direct you as it pleases. You are going according to the direction of the attachment. In a way, you become a slave to it, which is not the case if you are not attached. Lust, attachment and the like are one and the same thing, varying only in intensity. One must turn the mind away before it gets attached to any object. Otherwise, it becomes an impossible task afterwards. There was a king, a very noble king. His name was Bharat. Not the brother of Sri Ramchandra. This is another Bharat, under whose name India is called Bharat. A great saint. He was ruling the kingdom very well. All the people were happy under his administration. After ruling for sufficient time, he wanted to go to a forest and live a life of seclusion so that he can devote his whole mind on concentrating the divine. Of course, even when he was a king, his one of the daily activities was worship. He was very devoted to Lord Vishnu, and he was wholeheartedly doing service to him, and he was feeling immense joy out of that. So finally he decided, enough of this world, this administration and management, all this. I have done enough of it. Let youngsters take care of them. So he handed over the whole thing to the children so that he can devote his whole time for devotions. So he went to forest. Then he built a cottage for himself. He selected a place near a beautiful river. And he went on doing spiritual practices. Every day he was having wonderful experiences. He was becoming more and more joyful, more and more peaceful. It went on for some years like that. One day it so happened, there was a flash flood. One deer, it was crossing the river, and it was terribly afraid of because it was being chased by the tiger. It was, the deer was pregnant. In its fear, it gave birth to a child. But the mother died out of fear, out of mental shock. At that time, this king, this Bharat, was sitting in meditation on the bank of the river. He saw this sight. His heart melted down. What? This little kid of the deer is being taken away by the floods. The mother has died. Nobody to save this child. So immediately he jumped into the river. This Bharat, he jumped into the river. He took the baby deer in his hands, brought it back to his hermitage, began to take care of it. Slowly, his love began to occupy. His whole mind was thinking about deer and deer only. All his devotional practices were disturbed. The person who was meditating for 8 hours reduced his meditation to 4 hours, then 2 hours, then 1 hour. Even that 1 hour also he could not do. Because all the time he is thinking about the deer. And the deer with his beautiful eyes, and it is dancing before him and going to the forest, jumping, running. And he is worried. Suppose it is taken away by some wild animal. What would be the fate of it? So all the time his mind was thinking about the deer. He forgot about thinking the divine Paramatman. So the attachment was so high, and when he passed away, his whole mind was occupied by the thought of the deer. He was born as a deer in the next birth. Then of course he understood the mistake he has done, because he was a very good person, he had good samskaras. Because of his attachment he was born as a deer, but he could remember his past life. So what he did was, he remained near the ascetics and just passed away that life for some time. And then he was reborn again as Jadabharata. There's a famous story of Jadabharata. Finally he got liberation. Story goes like that. So, attachment and aversion are at the root of all evil. So we have to relinquish them. We have to relinquish them. Because attachments are troublemakers. They fasten the mind with a noose, as it were, and drag it in all directions. What these attachments do? They draw people away from God and scorch them in the wild fire of the world. Therefore, we must try to go inside ourselves. That will enable us to conquer the whole universe. To go inside oneself means to go away from earthly attachments that hold you down like a captive balloon. So give a turn to that attachment. Become attached to God. Strong attachment for God and a burning desire to realize Him burns away all other attractions. You will no more be deluded by the worldly distractions. We must always think about properly and form firm convictions. Sri Ramakrishna says, if you go to a garden, you must find out the owner of the garden. Who is the owner of this garden? In the same way, who is the owner of this universe? Do you think there is nobody to look after this universe? So Sri Ramakrishna says, God is the master of this universe. If you consider this whole universe as a garden, God is the owner of the garden. If you don't feel that God is the master, then you must come back to the world. You must be born again and again. As long as you cannot say, "Oh Lord, you alone are real," if you can't say that, you will not be released from the life of the world. If you think world to be real, all right, enjoy the life, and whatever the bad things come out of it, also enjoy it. So this going and coming, this rebirth is inevitable. That means there will be no liberation. As long as you think this world to be real, you have to keep on coming and going, coming and going. The feeling I and mine has covered the reality, so we do not see the truth. As the eye of man recedes, the eye of God approaches. So much about attachment and garden analogy. Now Sri Ramakrishna speaks about chanting of God's name purifies the heart of man. Is it so difficult to chant the name of God? So many difficult things we are doing. The simplest thing is to utter the name of God. There should not be any difficulty. So Sri Ramakrishna says, utter the name of God. Put your heart into it. Do it regularly, constantly. It will have tremendous effect. If a person thinks of worldly matters all through life, then in the hour of death, he will think only of worldly things, of property, of executing the will, so on and so forth. Suppose a photographer is taking your photo. He will say 1, 2, 3. That means you must be ready. When he utters 3, he clicks the camera. Then in whatever way you are posing yourself at that time, that will be photographed. So, whatever we may be doing all through the life, they should be able to produce impressive impressions at the time of death. We must all remember that we are all journeying towards death. As soon as we are born, from that time onwards, we are approaching death, knowingly or unknowingly. An example is given. Suppose you have taken a train ticket to travel to California. You have boarded the train from Chicago. Sometimes you sit quietly on the seat, seeing in and around. You may read some newspaper for some time, or you may see TV if the TV is shown. Sometimes you may play some cards with your friends. In whatever way you are busy with the train, it keeps on moving towards the destiny, though we may not completely observe it. In the same way, we have purchased a ticket of span of life, ayus. Everyone has got ayus, and have been born here. Childhood, youthfulness, adulthood, all these things pass on. As a man sitting in the train for some time, read newspaper, sometimes he played cards, like that. So playfulness, attending tea parties, weddings, money making, all going on one after another. Hectic engagements all the time. So much so we may not become aware of the passing away of time. But the fact is, we are approaching the grave as time passes on. Every moment we are journeying towards that. In this modern age of so many crimes, violence, accidents, diseases, catastrophes, death may come any time. Nobody is sure of at what time it comes. We should therefore not get deceived thinking that death may come after so many years. That's why the journeying time itself is considered as final time, antakale. That's why Bhagavan says, antakale mam anusmara. Lord Krishna says in the Gita, remember me at your final time. What we find generally, mind keeps on thinking about mundane things. But these thoughts will not save us. Nahi nahi rakshati dukkram karane. A man was mugging up grammar, Sanskrit grammar. Shankaracharya says, what is the use of mugging up this grammar? When the death arrives, it will not save you. A man was dying. All his family, children, relations, they have all gathered there around him. They are all crying. Oh, what's to be done? You are going away. Any moment you may pass away. What would be our fate? Who will look after us? So they were all wailing. The man who was dying was a wise man. He replied to them when they are all crying like this. Well, whatever I have earned, house, properties, money, etc., all these things I am leaving. I am not taking any of these things. Nobody is coming with me at this time of death. What would be my fate? Who will look after me? You are telling who will look after us. You tell me who will look after me. Same question he is putting to himself. So, none other than God's name will save us. God's name. That will save us. Sri Ramakrishna says, repeat God's name always. Divine name. It is made up of divine ananda, bliss. The divine name, ananda is inherent in that name. God and His name are the obverse and reverse of one and the same divine being. The name of God is a connecting link between Purusha and Prakriti, that is, between the soul and the mind. Contemplation comes to stay when the name penetrates the hidden layers of the mind. An inner alertness is of supreme value in the practice of the divine name. Divine love arises in a divine mind alone. Practice of the divine name makes the mind divine. So it has got connection like that. Without doing anything, you want everything to come in a miraculous way. It can't. You have to work out everything you have to. That's why I've already told you, you are in Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra. Do it, practice it, get it, enjoy it. You are qualified to enjoy. Whatever you have earned, you are eligible to enjoy it. Immeasurable is the power of the divine name. No sin can withstand the impact of the holy name of God. One example is given. Suppose there is a sugar We don't know from where it comes. Ants come. Where there is sugar, suddenly you find so many ants coming and tasting the sugar. In the same way, the Divine Lord Himself visits the person who practices the divine name. Like the ant coming to the sugar, God comes to the man who repeats His name. Sri Ramakrishna himself, if you have read his life, you will notice it. Uninvited, Sri Ramakrishna would go and meet some people. Because Sri Ramakrishna was convinced certain such a person was a very good devotee, certain such a person was a wonderful, noble man. I must visit. So he visited them, he invoked God in them. It transformed their life. He met issues in the Vidyasagar, gave him very good directions to him, how his activities must be made spiritually oriented. Like that. So the divine name, the name of God, is a royal road to divine experience. Do you want to have any experience? Keep on repeating the divine name. It has to be practiced with determination. It is true, doubts will come, so many distractions come, disturbances will come, difficulties come. Let all things come. In spite of all these things, never forget your practice. The more the difficulties come, the more you must become determined to do your spiritual practices. So the sadhaka should not stop the practice of the name, even if he does not see the image of his deity within himself. The image will voluntarily appear after some time. God and the self are today situated poles apart. Both are directly opposite in character. But the self, that is the I, has to move towards God. The divine name leads the I towards Him. The more the I forgets itself in the name, the more it approaches the feet of God. Another example is given. When Hanuman went in search of Janaki in Lanka, he came to Ashokvan and finally he found Janaki sitting under the Ashoka tree. And because he thought deeply how to impress upon Sita that he was a messenger of Rama. So he applied all his techniques in a very intelligent way so that Mother Janaki is not scared. Finally, when they came to know each other, then Hanuman showed the ring. When Sita saw the ring of Sri Ramchandra, immediately she recollected everything about Sri Rama. In the same way, divine thoughts must flood our mind when we begin to chant the holy divine name. That is why the divine name is given as mantra when a person is initiated into spiritual life. The mantra itself is God. It manifests its glory when you practice it thoroughly well. The name of God is like an essence. An essence is always concentrated. It is always used in very small quantities. Suppose you put a 1 drop of scent to a jar of water, the whole jar of water becomes completely, it has the same smell of the scent. 1 drop was enough to convert the whole water into that smell. It is just like that. It produces great results. Practice the name a little every day, sincerely and selflessly. It is bound to bring about wonderfully grand results. Another important point which Sri Ramakrishna has said about this: God is all powerful, but He is helpless. See? He is all powerful, but He is helpless in one respect. How? He becomes a captive of him who chants His sweet holy name. The function of the name is to reverse the process of attention. It turns the mind away from the senses towards the God within. Chanting the divine name is as good as observing silence. So, let us try to remember these ideas given by Sri Ramakrishna and practice with all humbleness. Surely God will help us, and Sri Ramakrishna in this modern age has assured us that whatever spiritual practice is done with all earnestness, we are sure to get the good result. Page 310. Balram's father, Mani Malik, and Beni Paul were all elderly men. Did the master give this instruction especially for their benefit? Sri Ramakrishna said, "Why do I ask you to think of God and chant His name in solitude? Living in the world day and night, one suffers from worries. Haven't you noticed brother killing brother for a foot of land?" The Sikhs said to me, "The cause of all worry and confusion is these three: land, woman, and money. You are leading a householder's life. Why should you be afraid of the world?" When Rama said to Dashratha that he was going to renounce the world, it worried his father, and the king sought counsel of Vasishtha. Vasishtha said to Rama, "Why should you give up the world? Reason with me. Is this world outside God? What is there to renounce and what is there to accept? Nothing whatever exists but God. It is Brahman alone that appears as Ishvara, Maya, living beings and the universe." Balram's father said, "It is very difficult, sir." Sri Ramakrishna said, "The aspirant, while practicing spiritual discipline, looks upon the world as a framework of illusion. Again, after the attainment of knowledge, the vision of God, this very world becomes to him a mansion of mirth. It is written in the books of the Vaishnavas, God can be attained through faith alone. Reasoning pushes him far away. Faith alone. What faith Krishna Kishore had. At Vrindavan, a low caste man drew water for him from a well. Krishna Kishore said to him, "Repeat the name of Shiva." After the man had repeated the name of Shiva, Krishna Kishore unhesitatingly drank the water. He used to say, "If a man chants the name of God, does he need to spend money anymore for the atonement of his sins?" How foolish! He was amazed to see people worshipping God with the sacred tulsi leaf in order to get rid of their illnesses. At the bathing ghat here, he said to us, "Please bless me, that I may pass my days repeating Rama's holy name." Whenever I went to his house, he would dance with joy at the sight of me. Rama said to Lakshman, "Brother, whenever you find people singing and dancing in the ecstasy of divine love, know for certain that I am there." Chaitanya is an example of such an ecstatic love. He laughed and wept and danced and sang in divine ecstasy. He was an incarnation. God incarnated himself through Chaitanya. Sri Ramakrishna sang a song describing the divine love of Chaitanya. Then Balram's father, Mani Mallik, Beni Paul and several other devotees took leave of the master. In the evening, devotees from Kansaritola, Calcutta arrived. The master danced and sang with them in a state of divine fervor. After dancing, he went into a spiritual mood and said, "I shall go part of the way myself." Kishori came forward to massage his feet, but the master did not allow anyone to touch him. Ishan arrived. The master was seated, still in a spiritual mood. After a while, he became engaged in talk with Ishan. It was Ishan's desire to practice the Purascharana of the Gayatri. Master to Ishan, "Follow your own intuition. I hope there is no more doubt in your mind. Is there any? The path of the Vedas is not meant for the Kali Yuga. The path of Tantra is efficacious." Ishan said, "I have almost resolved to perform an atonement ceremony." Sri Ramakrishna said, "Do you mean to say that one cannot follow the path of Tantra? That which is Brahman is also Shakti, Kali. Knowing the secret that Kali is one with the highest Brahman, I have discarded once for all both righteousness and sin." Ishan said, "It is mentioned in a hymn in the Chandi that Brahman alone is the primal energy. Brahman is identical with Shakti." Sri Ramakrishna said, "It will not do simply to express that idea in words. Only when you assimilate it will all be well with you." When the heart becomes pure through the practice of spiritual discipline, then one rightly feels that God alone is the doer. He alone has become mind, life and intelligence. We are only his instruments. "Thou it is that holdest the elephant in the mire, thou that helpest the lame man scale the loftiest hill." When your heart becomes pure, then you will realize that it is God who makes us perform such rites as a Puruscharan. "Thou workest thine own work, men only call it theirs." All doubts disappear after the realization of God. Then the devotee meets the favorable wind. He becomes free from worry. He is like the boatman who, when the favorable wind blows, unfurls the sail, holds the rudder lightly and enjoys a smoke. Ishan took his leave and Sri Ramakrishna talked with him. No one else was present. He asked him what he thought of Narendra, Rakhal, Adhar and Hazra and whether they were guileless, and asked the master, "What do you think of me?" referring to Sri Ramakrishna. Master Mahasaya said, "You are simple and at the same time deep. It is extremely difficult to understand you." Sri Ramakrishna laughed. Questions now? That I have just now read. All those things, these Vedic injunctions are difficult to be practiced in this Kali Yuga. Vedic rites such as yajnas, yagas, these are all extremely difficult to practice, to perform in this modern age, because it requires lot of preparedness. Lot of preparedness is required. First of all, the person should know the mantras to be used, and he must know the proper intonations of all those mantras. No, temples, what they do, it is not Vedic rites, it is rituals. They are rituals. Vedic rites means when you are invoking fire, sacrifice, yajna, yaga, that is Vedic rite. Doing puja in the temple, that's a ritual. No, the point, whatever way you want to do it, you can do. You are free to do it. But the point is, the people have lost that merit. There is no merit in them. Suppose he may mutter the mantras, but it doesn't manifest its power because he is not following discipline in his life. Not the question of punya papa. What I am telling is discipline, maintenance of purity, spiritual austerities are important. See, in olden days, the Brahmins were noted for austerities and purity. So, whatever they say would come to pass, would come true. They could never tell untrue. Such power they had developed. So, mantric power, mantra, it manifests its power in a man who is purified in his heart. So, it's difficult. It's not impossible. But where do you find such people? You see, one person was talking to me on the phone. Just he was asking one or two questions on the phone. On the phone he wants all answers. And he was telling, and he was referring Rudra. And he was telling, and then when he uttered the name Sri Rudra, etc., I asked him, "Oh, do you know Sri Rudra?" Immediately he began to chant on the phone itself to impress upon me that he knows Rudra. But when he chanted, I pointed out, I didn't point out to him, but I could make out the mistakes he was doing in uttering the mantras. He thought I might not know. He was under that impression probably. But I came to know when he was uttering, all the words were improper, but 75% is correct, but 25% is wrong. So that is how, see, we don't give attention to practice it. You go to a teacher, take one or two lessons, and you abandon the teacher. You think you can do yourself. So that is how we are going on. So no, unless you become perfect, you should not give up the practice. You must know all these Vedic mantras are being practiced minimum 25 years under a teacher. I know my teacher who was teaching me Vedas in Bangalore. His name, of course I had different teachers for teaching different Vedas. For teaching Rigveda there was a Shastri by name Subbaraya Shastri. And for teaching Shukla Yajurveda there was one Gangadhara Shastri. Like that. But they were all telling how they learned Vedas. They were telling. A very big Sanskrit Pathshala where all these brahmacharis would go and study under a teacher. The king of the place would send milk to these Sanskrit Pathshalas every day. And every boy, a brahmachari, who sits there and keeps on chanting for hours, 3 hours, 4 hours they have to chant, their throat requires milk. It is very good. It is nourishment. And the king would send. And they say, during their student days, each one would drink 1 pitcher of milk. And the voice was so vibrant. Voice. Very good voice. And like that they had to spend 25 years continuously. So each Shastri became adept in Vedas. And after studying the Vedas for 25 years, what he should do? Every day he must practice it in the home. The lessons are given. Every day, where to begin, where to stop. So accordingly, you must keep on doing it. So like that they maintained the Vedic tradition. But slowly those traditions are going away. No, even though they want to teach, people don't take seriously. They take in a light-hearted way. And if you press too much, they feel that they may not come at all to learn. So in order to compromise, they say, all right, it's enough, like that people say. Compromising. Any more question? Vedas, they deal with, first of all, the Vedas are 4. All the Vedas have got, besides rituals, they have got spiritual knowledge. Every Veda has got Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, 2 sections. Karmakanda deals with rituals Jnanakanda deals with the spiritual knowledge, which is called Paravidya. So, in the beginning they teach you, they ask you to do some rituals so that you may develop devotion to God, and whatever you want to get in this world, whatever you want to enjoy, you can have everything by propitiating God. You do this, you will get that. That is ritualistic portion. The last section, that's why it's called as Vedanta. Anta means end. The last section of the Vedas is called Jnanakanda. That contains Upanishads. That deals with the nature of the self. It goes to the essence, the core. What is Atma? What is Jivatma? What is embodied soul? What is Paramatma? How this creation originated? What is the origin of the mind? What is the function of the Maya? How we all got involved? How to get out of it? All these things are dealt with. That's all. All the Vedas deal with these subjects. Whatever Veda you may take. But Atharva Veda deals with Astra Shastra Vidya. Atharva Veda, it deals with Astra Shastra Vidya, Mantrastra. You can take one darbha, you utter that particular mantra and you charge it. It can go like a missile. It can do havoc. It's all the age of mantras, but now it's all gone. Mantra Siddhi is not there now. Unless a man works for it and maintains his purity and follows rigorous discipline, unless he follows that, he can't get Mantra Siddhi. So, easiest way Sri Ramakrishna tells in this modern age is, you are so weak, you can't do anything. You are so weak to do any austerity. You can't even fast. Your body is weak, your mind is weak, everything about you is weak. So, with this weak constitution, what can you do? So, Sri Ramakrishna, at least you can repeat the name of God. You can do that. But by doing that earnestly, with sincerity, steadfastness and devotion, you will get peace and joy, everything. That's what Sri Ramakrishna tells. Now, he was asking whether a Vedic application is to be done or tantric method of pujas are to be done. That's what he was asking. Vedic rituals are difficult to be performed nowadays. Tantric pujas are quite simple in a way, and they are also given by the rishis. It is as efficacious as the Vedic. So in this Kali Yuga, Tantra Shastra is preferable to Vedic rites, yagas and yajnas, etc. Anymore? No, that is true. Sri Ramakrishna himself has said, in Kali Yuga it is not possible to go in a way the people in the Vedic period would do. So accordingly, the spiritual instructions also got modified. Because in Kali Yuga it is very difficult to get concentration. Whereas in the Dwapara Yuga and in Satya Yuga, people could concentrate for years together without any problem. Now you can't sit even 5 minutes. The power of the mind has been reduced to minimum. So if you do this, it's enough. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says. It is sufficient provided it depends upon, again, if you want to get the result, you must do it effectively. Again that adjective comes. You must do it sincerely, all those things. So it depends upon that. Each one samskaras, how he has to fight out his evil samskaras and how he has to develop his love and faith in God. It depends upon that. It is true. But even the simplest thing is difficult for us to do now. You see, that is why in this Kali Yuga, the current coin, the currency, the present currency is the divine name. That is very powerful if a person practices it in this Kali Yuga. No other discipline is required because of so many factors. So Sri Ramakrishna tells you solution. Don't worry about that. Take the name of God, go, march on. You will get the same result as a man would get by doing austerities in the forest. Same result you would get if you keep on repeating the divine name sincerely, regularly, with steadfastness. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says. And Sri Ramakrishna, that's true. That you have to approach a teacher. You have to take. You have to step into that. It means that you have to approach a guru and you must try to think in that line. So how do I do that, etc. That's true. But the path is given like that. So you have to approach a guru, the guru will initiate you in the mantra, and that mantra you have to take and keep on practicing it. Try to correct yourself as much as possible, because it's not difficult to find out why we are not doing any progress in our life. It's not difficult to find out. So, if you read scriptures, if you read literature, Ramakrishna Vivekananda literature, most of the doubts get cleared up. They give very practical ways and means of getting into spiritual path. So it makes easy for us. Incarnations come to show us the easy way to spiritual life. So we must believe in their words, in their teachings, and follow. That's all. It's more of doing. That's what I'm telling. Kurukshetra, Dhammakshetra, Kurukshetra. This is Kuru means do. You must do it. Giving up, that is called renunciation. Give up everything. The more you give up, the more spiritual joy you will get. See, my interpretation is like this. If a person can love their belongings at the same time not affected by that, then you are a saint. Then you are a saint. But how many people are there like that? Show me. Very difficult. But you may say, you may call it by different names. What is that? It is human. True. It is human, no doubt. But at the same time, you must know it is human, so I must not become upset. Then you are wonderful. If you say it is human and at the same time suffer, then it is bad. I understand. Some bereavement, you cry for a few minutes. It is but natural. Nobody objects to that. But if you keep on brooding over that, that's bad. You must rise from humanness. You must rise from humanness to divinity. Sri Ramakrishna is there. First class example. Model. Beautiful. Read his life. Great master. A to Z. Read his gospel teachings. Then come to me and ask any question you want. Any question. But not before completing. A to Z you must read Great Master. Life of Sri Ramakrishna from the beginning to the end. Starting from the foreword, introduction, etc. Go to the end. Read it thoroughly. Then read Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. By the time you finish these two, you feel how your whole setup will be transformed, I should say. It all depends upon what we aspire for. So generally, our thinking is we always look upon God as if it is God's responsibility to keep on satisfying us whatever we want. That is our way of looking at God. Why God is like this? Why I am not having a job? Why I am sick? Why it is happening? Why it is happening? He is questioning God, as if God should take care of him only, not others. And not only that, as long as God keeps on satisfying your desires, God is wonderful to you. The moment that comes in your way, immediately you become angry. Even you may say, you don't need God. There are people who talk like that. But one thing is certain that we should know, God is not a stranger. God is not different, and He is not living in a secluded place. He is in our own heart. He is in our own heart. Yogis see the divine in meditation. Any more question? No. That only shows. No. So you have to discriminate. It is not God giving up. It only shows you have to exert more willpower. As I said, as a spiritual aspirant, be sincere in your prayers, then you will be able to withstand the lapses. You will not be worried over that. It happens, but you will get over it because of your sincere prayer and devotion to God. That's all. All right, we shall stop. It's 9 o'clock. No, you should think like this. Whatever bad is done, it is done through me. Whatever good is done, give the credit to the God. See, one thing about God you must always remember. God is like ocean, like Sagar. Ocean, it doesn't keep anything for itself. One day, I was going along the ocean in Madras beach, Mylapore beach. I was going, there is Ashtalakshmi temples are there. Fantastic, beautiful. First time I am seeing, I was so happy to see that. And the ocean doesn't take it. It throws out. It doesn't take. Ocean does not take anything. It throws out. What here I am telling is, whatever we do, everything is given to us back. In the form of reward. No, Good and bad, both have got its effects. Good and bad both have effects. For example, there's a story that Angulimala, once upon a time, was a great dacoit. He was looting the people, he was torturing the people, he was killing the people, and he was so fortunate to see Buddha. Lord Buddha, see, that is God's grace, that is God's infinite grace. They do it. The question of karma, they are above karma. See, the God, the Mahatmas, the holy people, this karma, all these things are for us only. Incarnations, what is there for them? The man who writes this karma can change it also. Supreme power has got that power. Supreme God has got that power. But ordinarily, karma works out. It's all right. But there is higher level. So that is a very important point. I was trying to telling you something, I forgot now. Yes, Lord Buddha. So Lord Buddha he came to know that that particular guy was giving a lot of trouble to the people. What is this? So he himself went to see him. And that dacoit became very ferocious and he wanted to kill him. How dare you come near me? He is asking like that. But Buddha, personification of compassion and love and dignity, but he was not disturbed. He just went in front of him and stood before him. He didn't speak anything. Angulimala looked at him. By just looking at Buddha, he was transformed. Because that grace, that divine beauty, that enchanting personality, he was amazed. What is this? And he's so joyful, so peaceful, and so full. And the point is, there is a point in my telling this. So he begged him and Swamiji, please take me as your disciple. Forgive me for all the faults I have done so far. I have tortured many people. Please forgive me, take me. Lord Buddha forgave him. He said, all right, very good. It's all right. Whatever done is past. Don't worry about that. Come on. So he made him a monk. Then he told him, go now for bhiksha. Go and beg the food from the people. So he went out. People don't know that he has become a monk. So when they saw him, they were running away. But once or twice they found out he is not doing any mischief, he is not killing them, he is not throwing stones, etc. He is simply keeping quiet. So then they became, some changes happened in his place. So then they began to take revenge. They began to throw stones at him. Whole body was bruised. Whole body. Blood was oozing out. He never reacted. He returned back to Buddha. Oh, Master, I am following your instruction, but I am getting all these blows from the people. He was weeping. Then Buddha said, my child, bear with them. Bear. Why they are doing? Because this is the reaction of your so many things you have done. It's a reaction. Bear them. By bearing them, you will burn them. You will burn the impurities by bearing. Just bear. So life also should be treated like that. Difficulties come, don't run away. Don't become upset. Bear it. It burns out. Suffering, it burns your impurities. Suffering is a fire. It's compared to a fire, Agni. It's easy for me to tell, but that is the philosophy. See, you must always hold on to philosophy. Then only you will get peace of mind. Otherwise, what joy is there in this life, you tell me, morning to night? What joy is there? All right, we shall stop. It's all 9:10. Jai Ram. Chant the name of the Lord and His grace unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant. O sweet one, in thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Ah, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years. When my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou, who steerest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.